Здравствуйте.
In private equity as well. So that's my background. I burned out on finance and I love tech. So it's being venture is a little bit of both, but working with a lot of young people. And my passion is helping young people dream, right? Helping them dream and providing them a way and providing them opportunities to create something very big, right? And changing the world. So that's my background. But more importantly, I have a very distinguished list of panelists here. And we're going to be talking about digital money. What is it? And we're talking at a very high level. If you're here for a crypto discussion, you're in the wrong room. So we're going to touch on it, but that's not the focus of this discussion. We're going to talk about digitization. And broadly, I've invested in payments, payment platforms in the Valley, and spent a lot of time originally at credit card companies when I started off my career. So I'm very familiar with the payment space, and we're going to talk about it. So let me introduce, with no further delay, introduce my very esteemed panelists here. And so bear with me 1 second. And I know he doesn't want me to call him that, but I'm going to call him that anyway. Is Dr. Ilhom Abdugafarov. He is currently Deputy Chairman of the Central Bank of Uzbekistan. And he's been working there since 1996. And before then, he's got his PhD in applied mathematics from the National University of Uzbekistan. So he's kind of like my hero. Over there, on two people over. Actually, let me go to Christina first. Christina's on the left here. Christina Doros is a Vice President and Country Manager for Central Asia and Azerbaijan, and she's based in Almaty. Christina oversees the growth of the electronics payment business in Azerbaijan and Central Asian countries. And by enhancing the value Visa provides to banks, merchants, and cardholders. Since 2016, Christina joined Visa to lead the regional core products team, has been representing this whole area, and the core debit, credit, and premium products. Right? She has 20 years of experience in the retail banking, IT, cards, and mobile payments. And she joined Visa in 2016, and so very, very excited to have her. I told her I live in Silicon Valley. I actually live very close to her headquarters, much closer than her. I live, headquartered in Foster City, California, and I live in Los Altos, California, so 15-minute drive from your headquarters.
And sometimes it's much easier living when you are far from your headquarters, and more efficient living you do, in professionally speaking.
Especially in a big company, I'm with you. I agree. Great. And to the left of Christina, we have Michael Coy, a man after my own heart. He's a co-founder of a technology company. Let me read you his bio. Michael is the co-founder and group CEO of Zoot, the Zoot app, Zoot Pay, and Zoot Mall, a Swiss-based fintech ecosystem that seamlessly combines e-commerce and digital lending services. Under his leadership, Zoot has expanded his presence to fast-growing emerging markets, including Uzbekistan in the last 4 years, Pakistan, Iraq, Jordan, and Lebanon, serving over 10 million users. And that's called scale, everyone. And so very, very excited to have him. Michael has extensive experience in e-commerce, fintech, biz dev, having held various leadership positions, companies like Delta, CarTrade, CNET Content Solutions, and Tech Data. And he has holds an MBA from IMD Business School in Switzerland. So thank you for coming, both of you. And last but not least, I want to introduce you guys to Farouk Abdulkanov. He's the partner and head of forensic for KPMG Caucasus and Central Asia. And so Farouk joined KPMG in 2005, having more than 15 years of work experience in financial services and government sectors in CIS countries. 5 or 6 ones. I'm not going to talk about all of them. And as an external auditor from 2005 to 13, he audited financial statements and performed other agreed-upon procedures such as securitizations, pre-IPO procedures, taking companies public for the Russian international banks, and investment funds and insurance companies. In 2013, after joining the risk consulting team, Farouk formed and headed the financial crime prevention team, which he's in charge of engagements related to banking compliance, AML, CFT, KYC. and he's combating terrorist financing and FATCA and Common Reporting Standard Assessment and Implementation in CIS. So very excited to have you. Thank you. He's a deep expert in this space. Okay? All right, so I'm going to go over at a very high level the agenda that we're going to go through, okay? And then we're going to just jump right into it, like into a swimming pool. And I think we have the right team here to do that. Great. So the first question I'm going to ask is, I'm a venture investor, right? So the first question is first of all, what is it? What are you doing, right? What is digital money? And we're going to define that. I'm going to ask folks here to define that for me. Number two, what problem is it really solving? Like, what's the point of it, right? Third is a very important question, why now? Why not 5 years from now? Why not 10 years later? Why right now? What's happening, right? The fourth is centralized versus decentralized, right? Let's talk about that a little bit. Centralized versus decentralized, what's the point of doing this? From a centralized approach and a decentralized, what's the positives and the negatives of both, all right? And then we're going to get into specific use cases, especially here in Uzbekistan, because there's a lot of things happening and benefits to be had, and we're going to talk, and we have the person in charge of this in the country right here. We have a person executing it and providing strategic consulting over there, and also we have users right here, right? So just very excited, talk about that specifically in detail, so not just at a high level, but let's go down a little and double click through. And then we're going to talk about, very briefly, different regulatory regimes for fintech and for digitization. And Dubai, Hong Kong, Singapore, US, EU, Uzbekistan, where does Uzbekistan sit within the whole spectrum of risk regimes, of regulatory regimes, okay? Then we'll talk about what's next, and then we'll go from there. So, long intro, but let's get started. Let me just open this up to anyone here on the panel, and feel free to jump in. We're going to keep this very Davos, very open. Anyone can answer, and we're going to have, hopefully, some disagreements even. Okay, so what is digital money? Please.
This way.
There
Okay.
we go.
So indeed, it's a good question to me, and I think we started the dialogue today with my colleague discussing like, what is the digital money, right? And if you go on Google right now, you can do it right now and check me. If you go on Google, you will see the digital money is digital form money, money expressed in a digital form, and there are three usually types they cite: crypto, stable coins, and CBDC, central bank digital currency. And that's how it's defined. And I politely disagree with that view, even though, academia probably hasn't come yet to the strongest definition, but in my view, like, if just that is digital money, what the God's name Visa was doing for 60 years? We were digitizing money since the very day we've been created as a company. And of course, bringing the money in different form or in different formats has been different throughout our history, at least some of us remember, right? We started with the pieces of carton, and then we moved to the amazing advancement. Wow, we did magnetic stripe. What an achievement. What a breakthrough, right? And then it's the first time when money, in my understanding, became digital. Because it doesn't matter to me what stands behind it. Is it a fiat money? Is it other type of asset you can exchange with or move from one person to another? If you do it in digital form throughout the internet, is digital money. That's my understanding, and I kindly invite you to argue or express your own point of view. So with that, to me, digital money is any format of moving the money. And if you notice, I'm not saying payment, I'm not saying paying for something, I'm saying moving the money, because now we're looking at the digital payments as the money movement, not purchases anymore, because so many use cases are coming up when we not just purchase per se, we share money with friends, we send money to family, and so we fundraise, whatever the movement of money is behind. When it's done in digital form, there's digital money, and we as Visa are doing it for 60 years by now.
Great.
That's my take on that.
Thank you. Anybody else? Yeah. Excuse me?
Can it be called as barter system, which was prevalent in India 50 years or 100 years back?
Well, we're talking digital money, so if it's, yeah, I would say barter is a form of trade. So hold on for that question for a second. We'll get to it. But when we talk digital money, it's got to be in ones and zeros. Okay? So go ahead.
Да. Я извиняюсь. Вначале хотел поблагодарить модератора, что за возможность участия на этом.
Thank you very much for having me here and introducing me. I'm really strongly agree with Christina's point. The simply is explaining the digital money is like it's a digital currency that you have in all the documents in all the countries. It's all the implementation is approved. So it's basically from the beginning of the bank's transfers, electron wallets, and all these payments with all these IT technologies. It was the crypto actives and digital money from central banks. It's all we call it digital money. Of course, if we call like the citizens and the business about their needs, they're gonna use what kind of currency they will use. But also the form of this is a lot of differences. You cannot just have a look on the one cryptocurrency and say this is the right way. This is the right cryptocurrency.
You have the speed, you have the digital one, and the movement of the payment. And not payment, movement of the money that you have. It means that on the way that you say barter, you don't have this notion of the digital one, and you have not notion of the speed inside. If you make a resume of digital money, I would say that you have the digital one, speed one, and you have a transfer of the money, then one place goes to another one, but it's all the time digital. Barter is the two guys that are two different places, and you make an exchange that could be manually on two accounts, but you don't have this definition of the transfer.
Okay.
Ну, я, наверное, соглашусь. Тут, в принципе, поспорить не с чем. Еще бы добавил такую форму, так как у определения денег еще есть...
Money definition is that the question is comes from savings. One of the components we can get. Do not forget that we can in an electronic system we can save the money and we can increase it on digitally.
So I'm going to... And let me start with the central banker first, right? What problem is digital? The doctor here is responsible for fintech in this country at the central bank. So very, very important role. Now I want to ask the question: what problem is digital money solving? What problem does it solve? What's the purpose of it?
Какие проблемы решает электронная
Problem
деньги?
is solving if we compare fiat money. We also have to look at it on a different sides. From the citizens, it's mostly digital money solves a couple things. It's one is speed, capacity, trust and so on and so on. But based on the citizen, on the commerce, it's on the most they seeing its speed and as a financially availability. If we look at the transactions by now, well, 90s until now.
There were a lot of mediators for transactions, and if we speak about bank transfers, they were at first they were implemented they were done by. It took some time. It took from 1 hour to 1 or 2 days, and digital money gave us a possibility to make all the payments at once, and that's why I'm speaking about the velocity, and pricing is also changing, and it is reducing, and this is also very important for population in order to change to electronic money, and of course finance availability, because I think in all the countries there is a problem with the situation that banks are not located in all remote areas, and that's why it's very important to have opportunity to make money transfers by e-money.
Sir, the question of what is what problem to solve, or are we all going to agree?
Maybe on, just explain on it, 1 minute, 2 minutes, what we are doing. Like that, I can explain our company, how we have used the digital payment to fix a lot of problems and the scale that we are. We are some kind of a digital lending platform. We are specialized to serving the countries that the credit for the consumer and the working capital or SMEs are very low. Okay, and for that, we are specialized to build the data to be able to score the people that they are normally on bank and on the bank to give them credit. Okay, means that more or less the job that we are doing. And for that, to be able to have this data, we have built an ecosystem that you have a marketplace, you have a logistic, you have the lending platform. Okay, that's more or less the ecosystem that we have. And the main purpose of the ecosystem is to have this building a data that we can just give a small amount of money to someone that he can buy a product on installment, like a flexible payment. And when the positive credit story is done, we can give them what we name is the installment bearing interest. Is that the one that is a higher amount and in the longer period of time. And we are managing the logistic to manage the fraud. That's our job. Now the question is that we are mixing between e-commerce and the lending side, okay? And you will see that in a lot of markets that if you don't have a payment that is efficient, you don't have e-commerce, or e-commerce is very low. We go together. Most of the countries that the e-commerce is very low is because they don't have a digital payment. Okay, in our case, I'll just give a few examples how we have solved how the digital development of the digital lending had changed the way of the e-commerce in Uzbekistan. 4 years ago, when we are doing the e-commerce side, 85% of our transaction was cash. The people coming, they buy because the digital payment was not so developed as is it today, like in 2020. Okay, we are in 2022, means that last year, this percentage came to 3%, okay? Means that from more or less 15 go to 3%. It means that on the cash side. And this year we have decided no cash anymore. But the impact, what was? The impact was that, first of all, we have increased 25 times the revenue, okay, because we went on digital one. We make 3 times the AOV, the average order value, and we did 5 times less bad debt that we had before. And the reason is mainly the customer, what he wants. When he wants to have some lending or e-commerce side, what is that? He wants to have, as I said before, means he wants to have access to the money very quickly that he has percentage, what we name the approval rate, that will be the highest one, okay, because when he requests a credit, he wants to get the answer very quickly that they have a credit, and when you give him a credit, he wants to have it immediately, okay, and have a acceptation of the credit immediately. And after that, he wants to give you back money very quickly, and he wants to receive the money quickly, okay? That's the way of the lending that you can do that. But look at just if you want to do it in cash. The problem that you are going to have on the company you want to do that on cash side never is scalable, never. Because the cost of the cash manipulation is very high. And in the same time, when you want to manipulate the cash, you have another issue is when you have a digital payment that you have access to the data, what the people do with this money. That means that you can do what we name the scoring of this guy. They don't need a bank account, but how they use the money is the way that you can score the guys. It means that if the unbanked people, they're using the digital payment side, one of the biggest advantage that has is the data that you have that you can score the people. And the scoring, that's the first thing. The second thing that you have is that because you can send them money digitally and they can give to you money digitally, means that you have less risk that the guys not give you back money. Because when you are an emerging market, that you give money for $20 with someone and he can pay in 4 times, you see the guys go in the point of cash to pay $5 each time. Most of the time they don't go. That means that the bad debt is high. It means that you don't have access to the loan because it's too expensive. And after that, with the system of digital payment, you give the possibility that the people that have never access to the money, they can have it. Means that is this population on their bank, they are the first people that they can have advantage of the digital payment. That more or less, that's the way that on our side, we have changed fully our company from the small one as a scale one, that right now we are near a few 100,000 people, that most of them they are on bank or on their bank, they have access to the credit from the evolution of digital payment in Uzbekistan.
Thank you. That's great. I'm just talking about his whole business plan. That's amazing. Amazing. Thank you.
And probably that kind of these 2 points of view brought me to this summary maybe that from the consumer standpoint, why you are saying why digital money? So from a consumer standpoint, as Ilhom said, that's speed, convenience, and security. And we all can relate to that, right? Because if I make the analogy, remember when you had to do a phone call, say 20 years ago, what would you do? You would probably not have a phone in your apartment. You would go somewhere on the phone station to order a conversation with Amin. And that's the very same with the sending money or making cross-border payment, right? That's the same analogy. And right now you can pick up your smartphone and make a call simply, or you can pick up your smartphone and just make a money send and make a Visa Direct transaction to cross-border. So that's speed, convenience, and security for all of us. And from the company standpoint, that's a bit different angle, even though, of course, companies cater for speed, convenience, and security because we cater for that as consumers. At the same time, digitalization of payments brings, and that's what exactly Michael mentioned, it brings data, cost reduction. Let me put it in a different ranking. It's cost reduction, then it's data, and as more data you have, the more new value for consumers you can create. Therefore, the more value you can capture as a company. Therefore, net revenue goes up. So this is the combination of very nice reasonings altogether, in my view, representing a perfect win-win for consumers and for the companies providing digital money services.
Would you like to add something to that, or I want to give you an opportunity to talk as well?
Спасибо, да. Ну, я еще немножко тоже как суммировал бы, что...
In summary, I'd like to just briefly say that expectation of population and financial market from financial system is transparency, availability, stability. I'm speaking about financial system and economic efficiency. And digital money and digitalization of all the transactions. And if we speak from from perspective of economy of Uzbekistan, its development for the last 30 years, if we compare it with neighboring countries, with Europe, with the United States, so then we can see that there is a huge potential because population of Uzbekistan is quite young, and about 60% is younger than 25 years old, and this population is inevitably will inevitably use these principles, speed, security, and convenience. And now we understand that we cannot offer anything else, and this is logically, and we have all these technologies. Another issue is security. But we will speak about this in details further. But what I would like to say is that here, if we look at it strategically, there is a leverage for added cost, because if most of economy is in fiat money, using fiat money, and we have different transactions, debts, and so on. But neither no banks, neither state, and other players, no one can evaluate real prosperity of population and create the level of trust between each other. And when we have e-money, we can make this evaluation, we can have these statistics, and there is a level of trust and transparency, and VAT of the country in some part can quickly grow, and I think that such effect we can expect. Thank you.
Percent, depending on where you are, they charge Visa, MasterCard charge transaction fees, and the technologist saws how can I bring that down and make it more efficient, and so number one is capturing that market of lowering transaction costs and speed in the developed world. In the developing world, call it Africa or other places, South Asia, the point over there is, I think, it's a development tool. In the past you build bank branches, right? Physical locations where you go and change money. But now everybody has one of these, right? This is your bank branch right here. Whether I receive money, send money, or I'm depositing or borrowing, this is what allows you to do, right? So just FYI, that's the way I would think about it, but absolutely everything true that they said. So we're going to get to Uzbekistan, where it's in many ways a developed country. We're going to talk a little bit about that, right? So, okay, next question is, and I'm going to lead the question. I'm going to lead you into this question. Why now? What happened where digital money became such a big, so outside crypto, right? And I'm going to throw in things like COVID, e-commerce, but maybe you guys can tell me the scale of why now. Maybe Visa can start with this, of the scale of why now.
Yes, gladly. Like the most recent answer to why now is right in your hands, as you said it. Because obviously the proliferation of the mobile devices, when every one of us has one, two, or even more, but it's enough for everyone to have at least one, that was the critical factor of such a scale of everything related to digital, not just money, digital content, entertainment, learning, you name it. But of course, any part of our life is obviously underpinned by necessity of payments or money movement. So that's why the scale in the last place. But looking back, actually the scale of digital money specifically is obviously heavily driven by the technology. The development of the technology and the lowering cost of the technology and the expansion of the technology, all of those actually fueled the development and the scale of digital money. Of course, COVID played its part, but we were all of us, we all together, Visa, banks, and consumers, we were developing e-commerce for 20 years. It's not like we started 2 years ago. No, we were developing e-commerce. But the other thing was that by objective and clear, obvious reasons, that development got really speed of a rocket last few years, and it won't stop. That's the most interesting, because technology of, in my view, that's my subjective kind of view, e-commerce was heavily underestimated. People didn't try it yet. People didn't know how it works, and therefore, if you don't know how it works, you prefer not to use it. But with the pandemic, of course, so many of us had to. It was a matter of having food on your table, right? We had to try to start using e-commerce, and we saw how convenient, easy, and really speedy it is. So this trend will surely continue. So to me, this is the question why. Technology, somewhat of the pandemics, and smartphones in everyone's hand. That's kind of the outcome of the technology development. So that's why now.
Maybe I can add on our side that we are like 4 years right now in Uzbekistan. We have never seen the government so active in this area. I would say the first reason why now, because for the last few years, and Central Bank is one of them, they have done a lot of initiative to push that thing happen. That's the first. The second one, I think, is a link that we see in other emerging markets that we are, is this government they wanted to make the dominance of the foreign currency, like dollars, less in the country. It means that when you have a digital payment that is developed, the people use the local currency. And in this case, they have less manipulation on the dollar. It means that that's the second one that is an important one. Third one, you can see, you have this morning the pitch of the president's side, is not, you heard a lot of billion, okay? Means, and if you go to the market, in the region or emerging, or you never see so much investment in the country like that, okay? And to develop, we could have the technology, but if you don't have the people who invest to use this technology, you have no deployment. And if you look at for the last few years, the investment was done in Uzbekistan on the fintech side is one of the biggest one, okay? Means, and you have more and more professional and international and the local guys that are interested on this area for the deployment side. And another one that was precise here is the young population side. You have 60% of the population. These people have more and more access on the internet. They see what's happened, and they are tech savvy. Means that it's very easy for them to go to the new way how to use the technology. And the banking is this one, and that make acceleration on it.
Thank you. And Deputy Chairman?
Что я хотел сказать? Роль
The role of technologies is one of the main why the e-commerce, digital agency is working. Not was only technology, but the technology progress. And development on the economy, and we selling and trading more and more via internet. Also, our role in this, the government role and the central bank role in this, and give the analysis of this for now in the country. For example, some of the citizens needed some new features and some new things they need, and we want to supply them with this until 2020. We are developing infrastructure of payment work, also helping to develop the technological side of this. Until 2020, we only had one payment system between banks. They were doing only one side of the job, so doing only simple side. There's two local systems, Uzcard and Humo. Before that, only one. And after now comparing is between two of them, now we're having a new technological answers, and it's becoming more convenient for the citizen. And there's a new from the central bank. We also created new payment systems. It's the Right Now Pay. We call it Click. For now, it's only using for the between citizens. Now it is working also for the manufacturers. Now all the farmers as well, all the business, they can use this system as well. Also, I want to highlight there's a biometrical identification that says more working with security level. Not only transfer money, also knowing who sent you this, just reading the digital code, digital trace of the money. What I want to say with this is that technological progress and the people's need and the business need, they need the government support as well, and help the countries, help the government to develop this side.
And I'm gonna say, hey, I'm gonna ask. Oh no! Before I do that, I want to go over to Farouk. Farouk, where are we in terms of digitization in the financial sector and digitization of money in Uzbekistan right now? I know there's a lot of reform and a lot of hard work by folks in the central bank and other parts of the government. But where are we, and where do we want to go?
Спасибо за вопрос. Конечно, большая честь оценивать так публично.
Really honored to say like where we are now and give my point. I'm just gonna say you as a user and where we're going, and also as a professional. I'm gonna say that there's a huge step in the last 5 years in some part of the creating a fundamental highway for the. If it was the last session of the ESG, there was an example. I'm gonna use it as a plugin. If we compare the distance between Earth and Moon, we will know like in each year we can go 100 kilometers, but physically we cannot do it. We have to firstly build the rocket, after we the ship, and after fuel it, and so on and so on. But now, by my view of it, in Uzbekistan, they already created this ship, and now they can actually launch it. Now there is some few tests left to do. Maybe there are some they need to some implementation, some changes, and get the investors and ventures funds to get interest, so they can invest on it, and so they will get interest on that. As I understand, that's like to give the opportunities and to create all the everything for the investors and for the users of the financial market, to add some features and grow this market and increase the value and capacity. So in Uzbekistan, there's on really high level of the development. Of course, we all have some moments, issues that we should develop more about the financial education, and so I'm not going to say about simple thing. Do not share your PIN code, the number of your cards, and the numbers of back of your cards, and so on. So in the last 5 years, a lot of people start using this system, Huma and Master Uzcard. Now they're not using cash anymore. Even less and less they're using cash. They're just sending it via this system we created, and also getting their salary through this system. And one of the main things that investors came already in. and they voting and using the digital money. They're not coming with the case of the filled with fiat money or the cash. It's one of the criteria that we trust that all the investment. We also put the trust in it. So now we see that the trust to the Republic of Uzbekistan is really big. That was really delightful to to hear his opinion. This is such a big company. I'm gonna say my few words. It is true that that's a big work was done from the central bank, from the government, in developing e-commerce, digital money. In 2019, there was a case. There was an article saying that there was a law that's saying this all about all the organization, payment organization, how they get the certifications. You don't have to be a bank. In last 4 years, I can answer that if we have 35 banks in this field, in Uzbekistan, so now there are 54 organizations competing with them. There's 17 organizations. They open the system with electronic money. If you need a statistic, I can tell you that e-commerce in each year of the volume, every year the volume is increasing double. Opening the e-wallet is increased over 17%. So for investing and for developing the system from this financial organization, we created everything for them, so so we welcome actually this kind of organization in our country. Please come, help us, and join us, and develop with us.
When you develop new technology, it's all about adoption, right? You can build the best technology in the world, and nobody cares if it's not used. I've seen some amazing technology, but people don't use it. What would it take for the folks in the rural areas, for the older folks, to adopt the next generation and to quickly adopt adopting into this what I would call e-commerce is the new Silk Road, right? And so what would it take, what needs to happen in your view, and then I'm going to go to everybody else, what needs to happen for there to be adoption, to take that curve of adoption and make it go like this instead of like this? What do you think needs to be done? Additionally, on the roadmap. Is that a fair question?
Я думаю, что
I think that main idea is to increase financing awareness of population. And for this, we have constructed a new department, and we have it in each region. We have a working group that is visiting all the regions and working with all the people. And we have a lot of channels in Telegram where we provide information for development of.
So I heard the chief product officer here for Uzbekistan say marketing. Is that correct? No, I'm just joking. I'm joking. That was an American joke. So you didn't get it? Okay, it's okay. Okay, I'm gonna, because we're getting towards the end, I'm gonna go one last question. And this is because of who I am in my job. There are a lot of young people in this room, and if they wanted to go and join the startup revolution in the payment space, what areas would you guide them towards where there's opportunity in Uzbekistan, Central, and in the world? Where would you guide them towards? Especially, let's start with Uzbekistan. where would they start the business?
Look at in Uzbekistan, everywhere. You don't have this limitation that you could have maybe in other markets. We have open everywhere, on the payment side, on the lending side, on the ecosystem side. Everything that's on the technology side, like that, is booming in Uzbekistan. Don't forget, it's just the biggest. This country is opening a few years ago, and just you are talking about the takeoff, means the takeoff is there.
Yeah.
Okay, it's not like that. It's like that. Okay, means when you are doubling the e-commerce in one country, when in other markets it's like a 4%, we cannot say that 200% is just like that. And if you just look at the number side right now, you see the cash is going. It's still very high, but is the 20 to 30% less than before. Okay, we have 35 million cards that is in the market. 35 million. Okay, it's not the same ratio that you have in Kazakhstan, but a few years ago was largely less. Okay, means the market is going very fast. You have a lot of investment coming on the startup level side in internet inside of the country. All the young generation, the only issue is because in the past they have not investment on the education on the IT side was not ready now, but they are coming. You have a lot of university that is coming now, and you have a lot of company right now, the people like us. Right now we have more than 40 positions open on the company side, and we have to bring the people from outside and to train the people locally. And again, on the ecosystem that we are representing, in any place is available, and everything is good because they learn everywhere. Okay? And you have not some special section.
So you're in the heart of the exponential growth. We're in the heart of it.
Exponential, yes. If you can say on the 3-digit numbers, on mainly all activity, you can see that everywhere. Okay, because you have all the element is there.
So I think what I'm hearing right now is there are opportunities for you guys to start businesses and get into the payment space.
I can probably confirm it in hard facts, what you just said, Tim, because to complement or to build on what Michael was saying, I also believe so that the opportunities are numerous in any markets, but much more so in Uzbekistan, because not so many use cases are solved for yet. There are many kind of consumer pains we're still facing in a way in process of digital payments. And if you think, there are so many tools already in the market. I mean the technology. Right? Uzbekistan is really very developed and advanced when it comes to payment technology. I can barely think of some kind of latest technology which is not present in Uzbekistan, because we did implement, say, Tap to Phone. That's one of the latest kind of breakthroughs in terms of the acceptance side. Right? It's when you can use your Android-based phone as a POS terminal, and that's a solution for rural areas, because we need to even the acceptance in rural areas in the cities. That's like, as an example. Another example is Visa token service, tokenization, which allows you to actually link your digitized card to the mobile application, and then you can pay with your mobile phone. The technology is already implemented in Uzbekistan. And security of internet transactions, 3D secure, and so on and so forth. And as a hard fact confirmation, I've mentioned, there is a company in Uzbekistan which is called Mayasoft. And these guys are fintech and startup, and they participated in Visa Everywhere initiative, the annual contest for startups, fintechs with Visa run globally. They have signed up exactly to what you were saying. If somebody would love to go in this area, what would be the potential there? So guys signed up for the contest. They won CEMEA-wide, CEMEA region contest. And they have received like much of the support in terms of the mentorship and everything. In 2 years, they have finalized their product, and they have launched it successfully in Uzbekistan market, first in Uzbekistan market, and that's exactly the Tap to Phone solution I was mentioning. And this is an amazing example of how local fintechs are developing the technology and are bringing it back to the country.
Great. Well, I think we reached the end of our time here. Stopped right on time in 1 hour. So thank you so much to the panelists. Thank you to the audience for showing up. I think some folks will stay around here for a little bit to answer your questions. So thank you, and give yourselves a hand. I have to explain the joke.